Can you tell that I have like a kind of a thing for I have like a public defender fetish. I'm very pro public defender. It's my bias. I feel like I should acknowledge it.
I do too. It's a good bias to have. I've liked every public defender I've met, and every public defender I've met has been, one, a substance abuser, and two, has been incredibly ferociously devoted to their job and their clients.
That's
even when they are playing, they're playing a rigged game. They've got one hand behind their back, and they're underfunded, and they're abused by judges. They're sneered at by cops and prosecutors, and yet they are out there every day trying their freaking best, and they're not making the amount of money that, other people with law degrees go to freaking corporate law to make.
They are not. And I find that quality, that selflessness, the devotion to be very attractive. And it is at the root of my compulsion to date a string of public interest attorneys. And also at the root of my understanding that even with a joint salary with a prospective partner, I will never be able to afford a decently sized apartment in New York City because they're going to be a public defender or some other kind of public service attorney.
You brought up Law and Order.
Yes.
In this interview, and that's an interesting point. How television has kind of crafted these public perceptions of the justice system, and things like Law and Order kind of come out of that tough on crime era, right? It's a reflection of largely white suburban anxieties over crime, and I've never seen Law and Order. I've seen maybe an episode.
Wait, okay, Virgil, you can't an hour and 30 minutes into an episode be drop nuggets. I've never seen Law and Order.
I didn't want to derail the conversation
by having interrogation.
A 15. I didn't need a 15-minute, pause to say, all right, let's have a rap session with Virgil and what's wrong with him for not watching this movie or TV show or knowing who this actor is in the middle of a conversation about
logistically, have you never just turned on the TV at 2:00 in the morning, and the only thing that's watchable is SVU? It's constantly on.
I know it's constantly on. I'm just not interested. I just that's just a blank to me. It's I could scroll through the channels and see at 2 a.m. the freaking billiards World Series going on, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't care that that's on.
You've never, I even watched that. I have, of course, watched the billiards. I've watched the guy, Come Knives guy. I've watched the Magic Bullet guy. I've watched hours of gaudy jewelry being sold and tunics that cover your mommy tummy. I watch all of the things that are on late at night. You just have never been tempted to even know what the rest of the world is talking about?
I've seen an episode of it. I just, I'm just not interested in true crime or police procedurals or things like that. And my guess is, and you can just fact check me now. My guess is that shows like Law and Order, and there's a spin-off Law and Order SVU, which is specifically about sexual crimes.
Yes, it's the best one.
That's specifically appealing to the same instincts that this whole weird true crime podcast genre is appealing to.
I don't think so. I listened to the first series of Serial because I care. I always want to know what the zeitgeist is talking about. So I consume a lot of things for that reason, but it's not exactly my bag, and I didn't watch after that. And I don't generally like or watch Law and Order, but I love SVU because, one, Mariska Hargitay. I don't think I need to say anything else. And two, it's the characters are better. It's got, Ice-T.
Yeah, he's great. No
great.
Complaints there, and he's an investigator.
As a New Yorker, I like to see, oh, look, they killed someone near my house. I used to go to school where that murder happened. That's fun.
Yeah, everyone's had the experience of walking through or by a Law and Order, filming on the street.
No, the actual, yes, the filming, but the actual scene being set, look, it's Murray Hill. It's whatever. Yeah. And then also, I don't know, there's something about SVU. I think the nature of the crimes, it's so, I mean, there's something that's more psychologically interesting, I think, about the kind of depraved sex crimes that are being investigated on an SVU versus, oh, I'm robbing something, bang, bang, I shot someone, that's...
Yeah, right. But my guess is that that's veering on the pornographic, the purely prurient, and the way they kind of stitch that up is by situating it within a criminal justice system that is populated with people who are, they're just, they're working hard and they're just trying their best and they're just trying to put the bad guys away and they're trying to, protect victims and all of that shit. When the reality is much different, and it's a pervasive, myth, generated by the spectacle.
Yeah, well, SVU is also, I guess as a leftist, it avoids or it sidesteps some of the discomfort of, a general cop procedural because the people involved are not so much motivated by poverty. It's not like theft or whatever, drug selling and the kinds of crimes of poverty. It is people who have psychological predilections. It is, child molesters and serial rapists. And as we just talked about, obviously there need to be institutional interventions other than prison to deal with people like that as well. Mm-hmm. But the idea that, the perpetrators are less sympathetic in SVU than they might be in a different kind of show, in part because there is a feeling that even though you might want them to be dealt with differently, they're not the kind of perp from another show where you would genuinely just want them to be off the hook because they stole someone's iPhone. Who cares? Let them go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think it's in some ways more interesting and more palatable for that reason, because you find it easier to root for Stabler and Benson when some priest has been raping kids at a school for 30 years or whatever that particular episode is about.
So in something like SVU, there's less moral complexity of the crimes than you might see in another procedural that might be, looking at other aspects of criminality or the root causes of crime. This is more like, okay, this is sicko.
There's less moral complexity to the criminal justice system, but as it's portrayed. But there is more moral complexity, I think, to the perps because sometimes they're compelling people. Sometimes the perpetrator is also a victim. Sometimes, they strip a lot of cases from the headlines. So they'll do like a fake R. Kelly, they'll and that makes it feel salacious, and it's I don't know, it's just more interesting. Like I've never found myself, if I like you, if I'm flipping through the channels and I see a Law and Order that's not SVU, I tend not to stop. But SVU
that's
slaps.
Pure uncut shit right there. John Mulaney had this really funny stand-up joke about watching SVU where like Ice-T would be on these episodes going like, you mean this sicko likes little girls? And it's like, well, of course, you work in the sex crimes unit. You should be familiar by now that that's the deal. You've been there for decades. All right, I'm just ripping off John Mulaney.
No, that's good. He's a Bernie bro.
Really? I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah. He's a Bernie bro, and I think he's just the best, and I would love to have him on Bad Faith.
All right, let's get John Mulaney on to actually discuss the psychoanalytic aspects of Law and Order, because there is actually a lot going on there. And procedurals have been with us since, the advent of television, and it's like a form that's become way more refined, and it does tie into this serial true crime stuff, which is it's a mirror to our overall anxieties. And I think it has, and I think that stuff has also, on one level it's just entertainment, but on another level I think it has contributed to, I think, widespread just a culture of paranoia that's running up against this new radicalism that says, abolish the police. Mm-hmm. And exactly how this is the core tension that's kind of plays out every time there is a spectacular act of police violence, like there just was in Virginia, like there just was in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. And, I don't want to be too, we've spent a lot of time talking about it. I don't want to be glib about the human costs involved and just the appalling images that we've seen in the past few days, and I'm not just talking about these crimes, I'm talking about the cover-ups as well, where you can see in Brooklyn Center, like cops literally closing ranks, out in advance of everything with riot gear because they don't want their freaking police station to get burned down, which in my mind, wanting to burn down a police station is a pretty rational response when you see something like this happen. And and it's once again, I think it's appalling that you see politicians like the president of the United States, for instance, feel that they need to get ahead of civil unrest. And like they have to say, this is a tragedy. I support, the family of this victim. I hope the justice system, hope we get to the truth of the matter and there's investigation, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, don't burn anything down. Whatever you do, don't loot anything. Shame on you.
Should we go ahead and should we play that Biden clip for those who?
It's just gonna piss me off again. But let's put it in there. Let's. Ben, could you put that on?
I haven't called Daunte Wright's family, but our prayers with their family. Is really a tragic thing that happened. But I think we got to wait and see what the investigation shows. And the entire investigation. You all watched, I assume as I did, the film, which is the body cam, which is fairly graphic. The question is, was it an accident? Was it intentional? That remains to be determined by a full-blown investigation. But in the meantime, I want to make it clear again, there is absolutely no justification, none, for looting. No
Fuck
justification for violence.
Fuck you, old man.
Peaceful protest, understandable.
Note the difference between how wishy-washy he is when he's talking about condolences and we'll see what happens, and versus how declarative he is about how there is no excuse for property damage.
By the way, he's right there fucking cracking the whip. Like in the fucking the paragraph that's supposed to express condolences.
Yeah, apparently there are plenty of reasons why you would shoot a 20-year-old new father in a car that you've only stopped because of a traffic violation. There's plenty of reasonable explanations for why that interaction should end in the loss of a human life. But absolutely no justification for violence when it comes to property destruction and looting. We got to draw a firm line in the sand there.
Yeah. And I mean, you could say that's just political cravenness on Biden's part, but I think it runs deeper than that. I think it runs to a very specific anxiety at radical movements, at radical protests that, people will acknowledge that, the system's failing, it's not working, it's not addressing this keeps happening over and over and over again, and we're just going to have to take things into our own hands. And I think they really are afraid of, that being the case.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, if I were advising them, I don't know why they would be afraid, because this man managed to become the Democratic presidential nominee as the man who literally wrote the crime bill in the middle of the biggest protests in American history, and there weren't a lick of consequences. Nobody who was in any leadership position in that movement connected the demands that were being made very clearly and articulately over the course of that summer to a vote for Joe Biden or any demands of him once he became president. He, as I alluded to, he crapped on Sherrilyn Ifill's pretty moderate suggestions to him about what he could do in terms of criminal justice reform through executive order. And there's just not any consequences. And so that's why he can get away with saying stuff like that. Why be scared? Yeah, what's he scared of? Nothing. Nothing's coming for him. No one's coming for him.
Yeah, and he's sitting right there, with Kamala Harris, who's nodding along to it, who was
our top cop.
Yeah, who was the top cop, who was a prosecutor, who, won as a tough-on crime prosecutor, who won her very first race in San Francisco.
Against a genuine progressive.
Yeah, against an actual reformer prosecutor. So, I mean, that's who these politicians are. That's what they represent. They represent wealthy interests, much like the police represent wealthy interests in private property, and put property over the human life.